Well, my friends, welcome back to this special Friday edition of Spot On with Link Lauren. We have some topics we didn't have time for earlier in the week on Monday and Wednesday. If you follow me on social media, if you follow me on X at It's Link Lauren, you saw me posting about this already because I could not bite my tongue. I'm not someone who's known for sort of being quiet and reserved and holding back what I want to say. And I saw this post about the James Bond remake. They are apparently restarting the James Bond series. I feel like Daniel Craig just ended the James Bond series. Can we let them have a minute? But they announced that this guy, Aaron Pierre, this 31-year-old English actor, might be in the running. He might be a top contender for James Bond. And here's what I had to say. I said, yeah, it's a no for me. If they want to make James Bond black, that's fine. Maybe Idris Elba, but not this person. He looks like a trans man you'd see in a woke Fruit of the Loom commercial. Something is off about him. Now, I was pretty brutal on X. Sometimes I post these things and I look back, ooh, it was pretty rough. But I stand by everything I said. And if you're listening to us, if you're not watching right now, he basically looks like a mousy, real effeminate guy. He's got these big lips and these really sultry eyes. I don't know. There's just not something James Bond about him to me. What I love about, Sean Connery, Roger Moore, Daniel Craig, Pierce Brosnan, all these former James Bonds is that they have a little bit of an edge. They have a ruggedness to them. And this guy, Aaron Pierre, sure, he's a fine actor. We don't know him too well here in the States. Maybe he's huge over in the UK, but I don't think he has what it takes to be the next James Bond. I really, really don't. I don't think he has enough life experience. He's 31 years old and he's just mousy to me. Can we have a real macho man? And if you're going to do a black actor, I don't care, do a black actor, but maybe Idris Elba, who's got a little bit of salt and pepper hair, who's lived some life, who can really pull off the acting chops. I don't think this guy, Aaron Pierre, is going to cut it for the new James Bond. But like I said, this is what Hollywood is doing. They keep regurgitating and recycling the same ideas because they have no interesting or new intellectual property. We talked about this with the new show that's coming out next year from Ryan Murphy, American Love Story about JFK Jr. and Carolyn Bessette Kennedy. May they rest in peace. They're redoing all of these old stories because they don't have the energy or the creativity to come up with anything new. Even though they're making millions and billions of dollars, they can't go back to the drawing board. My thing is, instead of going and restarting James Bond, maybe make a new series, make something new. But this actor, Aaron Pierre, is not cutting it. I really would love to see Idris Elba. I'd love to see maybe Aaron Taylor Johnson. Maybe there's an actor who's unknown, but who has that gravitas and who has that masculinity and that strength. Before we know it, they're going to be doing like a non-binary, pansexual, pan-African, Latino James Bond. We're going to go woke. They're going to do a woke James Bond. I would not be surprised if they went down that rabbit hole. But no, why do they have to ruin everything that was once great and sacred in Hollywood by redoing the James Bond series? And I'm reminded of a remake that really flopped. Really, really flopped. And it's not because I think it's too soon, right? Snow White is very old. But if you remember, they redid Snow White, a live action Snow White, with this actress, Rachel Zegler. Rachel Zegler. This is a lesson to everyone in Hollywood. And it also ties into James Bond. You have to be very careful about who you cast and why. If you cast someone that you're going to have to work with for years and years during filming, during a press junket, maybe a sequel, you have to really assess the character of who this person is. And Rachel Zegler is someone of poor character because before Snow White could even come out, she was going, well, we don't need a man to come save us. I am a feminist. I don't need a man. I don't know about this old story. She had no respect and reverence for the original intellectual property of Disney and Snow White. And so if you cast someone for James Bond, you better be darn sure that they respect the history of James Bond. Like I said, Pierce Brosnan, Roger Moore, Sean Connery, Daniel Craig. You better have someone who respects the history of the series and the institution that is James Bond, because this is a multi-generational franchise. Multi-generational series. And if they don't cast the right person, it's going to go down the tubes. But Rachel Zegler, she's also back in the news. It wasn't enough that she trashed Disney. She's back in the news because she says she needed a psychiatrist and medication allegedly to get through the Snow White backlash. And this shows you how spoiled these little Gen Z kids are. She got a little backlash, right? She was held accountable for the horrible things she said about the Hollywood movie she was in. God forbid you're in a Hollywood movie. We're so sorry, sweetheart. And then she needed a psychiatrist and medication and therapy. Oh, poor you. You're in a Hollywood film. You tanked the film. In my opinion, Rachel Zegler, you tanked the film by going out there and denigrating the intellectual property that is Snow White. Every Disney movie, you know this, is about a woman waiting around for a man. Sleeping Beauty, she's comatose, waiting for a man. Rapunzel, she's up in a tower, waiting for a man. Snow White, she's waiting for a man. This is how it goes, okay? Every Disney movie is about waiting for a man and Prince Charming to come sweep you off your feet. You don't have to go back and do a feminist reimagining of these incredible stories we've had for decades and decades and decades. You understand what I'm saying? Can we not have a story where a man comes in who's chivalrous and strong and buff and saves the princess and sweeps her off her feet? I love that. Can we not have that anymore? Right? It's not enough. So the men, they can't be heroes anymore. The women have to be shiro. This is a new term I learned. They have to be shiros, right? We've gone so far that we actually just have to erase men from these Disney films and the women just have to do it all. So Rachel Zegler, I don't understand you complaining about this hit film you could have been in, but it went down the tubes because of you. I'm so sorry you had to be in a Hollywood film. And as for the James Bond remake, it'll be interesting to see who they cast, because if history is any indicator of the future, if y'all don't cast the right person, the movie is going to go down. And James Bond, they're going to have multiple ones. So you better get the right guy and do a lot of screen tests. But Rachel Zegler, we wish you well with all your therapy. Aaron Pierre, we don't know much about you, but we pray that you do not make it as the next James Bond. As for you guys, I want to hear from you. I want to hear what you think about all these Hollywood remakes, whether it's JFK, James Bond, Snow White. Aren't you tired of all the remakes? Maybe you love them. But for me, unless the remake is going to be really good, unless the remake is going to be excellent, I don't want to see it. I think there's a reason they haven't done a remake of Titanic, because that is a movie that still holds up to the test of time. But I want to hear from you guys. And this concludes our special Friday edition of Spot On. We wanted to get to the story earlier in the week. We just didn't have time. But the James Bond series is one that's close to my heart, because there's nothing I love more than hot men in fast cars and jumping off of buildings and explosions. So you guys have a great weekend. Be safe. Make good choices. I will see you on the next one. Bye.